This is Jim Nailon, liturgical guitarist. I'm going to share my arrangement of the beautiful hymn Pescador de hombres, or in English it's known as Lord, You Have Come. I'm playing it on the 2nd fret in C because that puts it in the same key that we would sing it at church. So I'll play through it first and then I'll talk through it as usual. And I start out with a little introduction that they give in the Oregon Catholic Press version. So I took the repeat there. At the end, you notice I have a G chord in parentheses. So that's only if you're going to take the repeat. And you'd probably just go back to the verse, not the introduction. Otherwise, you just end it on the C, the first half of that last measure. Okay, so talking through it. And again, this is one that you can do without reaching around with your thumb on an F chord, though I do it in the intro just because it's cleaner. The A minor, so I did it just then using the F, the barred F, but you have to, the last 8th note of the A minor is played with the first finger. So you got to get quickly from that note to your bar. And if I use my thumb, I can do it clean without any break at all. So I can hold that note as I'm going down to there. So it's a little better if you can reach around with your thumb. I would do it that way instead of the way I have it fingered here. I would put a T there on the low F note. Okay, so that's the intro. Then starting at the verse. And you want to give a good strong sound on the melody here, the E, open E, and keep the other notes kind of soft, because it always starts out with just that long note, Lord, you have come. So keep those inner voices soft. Don't go, or you'll lose the melody. On my D minor, on the second measure of the verse there, line 2, I almost always use my little finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string when I play a D minor. Instead of playing it the traditional way with 1, 2, and 3, I do it 1, 2, and 4. And I don't know why. Well, I know why. It lets me do that D minor over C, which we're going to use in the next line. But so that's why I have it fingered that way. That's just the way I play. You could do it with your 3rd finger there. But if you do it with the little finger, you still have to lift it off. You still have to lift it off there on the G7. And to the next one, C. short F here. With some movement in the bass. So into the A minor. The third line, D minor with a hammer on. Now and you hear you're definitely going to want to do it with the fourth finger on the D note, on the second fret of the third fret of the second string. Because we're going to go to this D minor over C, which isn't in the arrangement. It isn't in the hymn, but I added that to get some nice bass line movement here. So that third line again. Now the C, and then G over B. Now the melody stays right on that D note. Da da da, they're searching the wise, or whatever the words are. Da. But I'm not sure all these chords are in there, but it gives it a nice bass run coming down. So you've got the starting again, line 3 there, second line of the verse. A D minor over C, G over B, D minor 7th over A, and then G. And so kind of bring the volume down on those. The G over B, that's loud, but softer. Then bring it up again. Go into the last line of the first page. C, bass run down to A minor, G7, and then C. And another little figure on a short F. And then little finger drops in to get the B flat, or the third fret of the third string at the last chord on that line, on that page actually, the C7. And then you got to quickly move your finger over to the third fret of the first string. And I would glissando up to the F. Now we're at the top of page 2, and it's got this cheat form of an F chord that I always use, because I'm too lazy to learn this version, where you do a full D chord here. I can't get that quickly. And then another reason for using the capo is it makes it a little easier for this bass run, because your first finger now is going to slide down to the second fret, and then into the D minor, and quickly you're going to bring your second and third fingers up to the 5th and 6th fret of the first and second strings, respectively. And then slide those up 2 frets, and then first and third, and then back down to the second and third, and then back where you started from. So that's a quick, you'll want to practice that to get it clean. You notice I sounded a little heavy-handed when I was playing through this section. This is the trickiest section, this and the next measure of the piece. And with more, I just arranged this 2 days ago, so I haven't had much time to practice it. But with more practice, this will smooth out, and it should for you too. But and I'm not the fastest guitar player anyway, so my thirds usually don't sound as smooth as a virtuoso's would. So when you go from this last note there in the second measure to the C, it's a different voicing of a C than you may have played before. It's different than I might have played before. But it keeps the thirds going, which is nice. So the trick here is, you'll notice where my first finger is. My first finger is almost where it needs to be to go down on the third fret. So as I slide on my second finger, down 2 frets, and put my third finger over, it's right where it needs to be. So that part's easy. The tricky part is the little finger. And this is a good arrangement for strengthening your little fingers. If you have a weak little finger, by the time you've learned to play this one well, your little fingers should be much more capable. So you got to bring those down and put the little finger in. And you got to be straight up on the fingertip with that little finger, or it'll lay over and it'll mash into the first string. So you got to get way up. In fact, you'll notice all my, let's see if I can go sideways. You can see how my fingers are really coming straight down, not laying over. That's critical to get this clean. And then the same little trick, bass run. Just drop your first finger down, 1 fret, and then into the A minor. Then the D minor again. And when you start out with the open first string and you hammer on, that's your second eighth note. And then we're in the second line here, the second measure now, the G. Now we're going to do thirds again, and here is going to be another workout for your little finger. So, open bass, and then I use all 3 fingers here, the IMA, or the first, second, thirds, pluck 3, and then keep 2 going up. So on that third, eighth note there. Well, anyway. And then the bass on the D, which leads you into the C in the next measure. That one's not as bad as the line above it, as tricky, but as long as your little finger's strong. If your little finger's weak, that's going to be a good workout for you. Again to the C7. Now we go back up to that F chord. We're going to do it different this time. In the first repetition, first half of the refrain, we're doing thirds. Then we're going to do sixths. That's like an inverted third. So it starts right out when you hit the F chord here. You're going to hit both notes. Now the C and the A. And then the bass run. Boom, boom, boom. And then stay on your third and fourth fingers here. Slide them up 2 frets. And then your third finger is going to be leading through all this. So your third finger stays and it goes up 1 fret, and you drop your, oh no, it goes up 2 frets. Drop your second finger down on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th fret of the first string. And then back into where you came from, little finger. And this is an easy transition. Now you're going to just slide on, keep your little finger down, slide to the C. So, starting that third line there in the second page. And then C. Bass run down to A minor. And there's a double hammer on here. This is the first of a couple you're going to do. So you have your first and second fingers. You play the open first and third strings. Then you hammer on them both and lift off. And then to the D minor chord. So the D minor, you're going to hit it with just the first and second fingers. And then the open bass on the 5th string. Third, 4th string bass, and then the 6th again, interval of a 6th there, and then you got to quickly bring your second finger over, because your second finger's on the D minor is playing the second fret of the 3rd string. So you want to hold it there as long as you can, otherwise it'll sound, and you cut off that. You don't want that. You want that note to ring as long as you can, but you still have to move it to get it over here. So if you hold it there till the last possible moment and bring it over, it'll give the illusion that you're holding it all the way through. No. So I bring up boom, and then more sixths, then lift off. So the double hammer on with the open D bass, and then C, and then a little short F over C. And if you're going to turn around, and if your guitar doesn't have great sustain, you might want to, we're back to the first measure of the verse on page 1, which is the start of the second line. You might want to go ahead and play that C note twice instead of just, you might, people aren't going to care, but it's truer to the melody there. But you'll notice I take liberties with the melody and the chord structure if it makes a more guitar friendly arrangement. The ending, again, of course, if I'm playing that ending, I'm going to do just because I'm a sucker for those little trills and that country ending there. So I think there was something else I was going to mention on this, but I guess not. I think I've covered everything here. I've sung this for years, but I've played it instrumentally, but never this nice of an arrangement. I've spent a little time on it, and this is much nicer than anything I've ever played before. So just by ear. So I hope you enjoy it. Pescador de hombres. Look for more arrangements on liturgicalguitarist.com. I pray God blesses your playing, and I wish you peace.